You're listening to episode 36 of The Marketer's Mindset with Brian Burkhardt. Welcome back to The Marketer's Mindset, the podcast where we talk about how to create and sustain a powerful mindset to help you build a successful online business and lead a happy and abundant life. Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest, she comes from a large family. The oldest of 7 children says that ever since she was young, she knew that she wanted to be an entrepreneur and classifies herself as someone who is super independent and loves to express herself. Because of her self-expression through her sarcasm, which she says she does in a loving way, she was given the nickname Sassy Pants by her mastermind group. I love it. After taking theater classes in high school and joining the debate team, she finally found herself enrolled in a business program all before graduating. That was the start to her journey into the entrepreneurial world, where she found her superpower, which was a love and skill for Instagram marketing and helping others utilize this for their businesses. As with all entrepreneurs, she struggled for a couple of years to figure out the Instagram game. And that is the niche that she was passionate about and became an Instagram strategist. This amazing and proudly unemployable woman even taught herself web design and began freelancing for some amazing jewelers and other businesses. You may ask yourself, why does she do all this? Well, for her, it's simple. It comes down to 2 reasons. 1, she's discovered that the secret to building a following on Instagram, where she went from 300 followers to 3,000 in just 6 short weeks, and now, as of today, has 10.8 thousand followers on Instagram. So she loves to help friends and fellow small business owners build their followings. But the number 1 reason to build her business and makes me love and respect her even more is this single mother can be at home with her handsome young son. She is also the non-refundable host of the Successful Passion in Business podcast. Please welcome Allie McAdam to the show. Allie.
Wow, thank you so much for introducing me that way. Now I feel the pressure of, I've really got to bring it, right? It's crazy how much you could learn about someone from just doing a little research online. I felt like thank you so much for introducing me that way. And you know what? I'm so grateful to be here. I'm really excited to be on this show. This is such an amazing show, and I'm really excited to be here with you.
Well, I'm happy. It's going to be a great show. I'm really looking forward to delving into some of these things and, talking obviously about mindset and then about Instagram marketing and what you're doing with your business.
Now, before we start,
awesome. When I was going through and doing research, I came across some common things that we have. So I wanted to share those with you.
Please do.
1, I'm not anymore, but I was a single parent of 3 boys. So right now I have a fiance, and we've been together for about 8 years now, but she's got 2 older children, and now my youngest is 19, so they're no longer babies. But you have a beautiful little boy named Damien, correct?
I do, yes.
Yes, I saw pictures of him. He's a cutie, man.
Thanks.
How old is he now? About 3 or?
Yep. He's 3. And it's crazy that you have a 19-year-old. I can't even fathom being there. So I'm still trying to handle the 3s.
Well, that's my youngest, Allie. I got 23, 21, and 19.
That is insane. Again, I can't even imagine being to that point when what's funny is when I became a mom of a 2-year-old, everyone goes, you're the terrible 2s. Congratulations. What they didn't tell me is when you hit the 3s, then they came out and said, by the way, the 3s are worse. And I'm like, oh, okay. But he really is an amazing kid. And he is 3, but he's amazing. So something I'm very grateful to have in my life.
That's it. Enjoy it. I'm sure you've heard it before, but just enjoy every minute because it goes by so fast. Speaking from experience. So enjoy all the terribles and the wonderfuls and everything that's all mixed up. It's awesome.
I definitely will. Thanks.
Now, we're also podcasters. So you have your show. Are you still doing the interviews? I think you said that maybe you're not now. I know you've you've done some classes where you're teaching like multiple segments throughout your show, right?
Yeah, so I actually do seasons, but then in between the seasons, I still run regular episodes. And I do that because when the seasons, after a few months of being up, I take them down. Because it's just more interesting that way.
Yeah.
And so I do that. And I actually do some interviews here and there, but I've actually shifted from interviewing other entrepreneurs, which is how I started podcasting because I wanted to learn from them. And I've shifted from doing that to I actually only bring on audience members now, or I've launched a membership. It's currently in its beta. So I just have a beta group and I'm going to bring on those members and do like coaching calls with them and whatnot. So I've kind of reserved that for my audience members, which is really cool. It's definitely not something I set out to do, but it's been a lot of fun and it's been a journey for sure.
That's great. It sounds like you're growing and expanding and constantly learning. So it's nice when something pops up. You're like, I wasn't expecting to do that, but I'm kind of in a position now. So that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I didn't go search, I didn't go out saying I'm going to be the Instagram strategist. I'm going to go out and that's going to be my thing. That's definitely not what I tried to do, but it just happened because I was able to grow my own following. And then I had people asking me how I did it. And then I was helping them. And then it just grew from there. So it's crazy how that happens and how you just gotta, if you just pivot when you feel like you need to, and you've got that pressure to move a little bit, if you just sidestep, it's crazy how much farther you can go and how much faster you can go when you just, take on with the keys and the hints that are being thrown at you from your audience and every other which way.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. And then lastly here, I saw that we have some common friends, some that you or me may know a little bit better than others. We have Brian K. Wright, who's most of these are going to be from the Podcast Discovery Center. It looks like.
I love that group.
Yeah, me too. Brian R. King, which I've had on the show. Anthony Hayes, which I know you've been interviewed by him, and I had him on my show. Mm-hmm. Great guy. Stephanie Callahan, who was amazing. If you're looking for someone for some good business advice to interview, she's great. I'd highly recommend her. Kay Walton, who I don't know. Do you know Kay at all well? With Loco Gringo, the travel agency down in Mexico?
I'm not totally familiar. So no, name sounds familiar, but I'm not for sure.
The reason I ask is because that's my cousin.
Oh, okay. That's crazy. The connections you make.
It is. That's how I found the Podcast Discovery Center, because she recommended that she knew I had a podcast. Says, you got to be part of this group. I'm going to recommend that you get in it. So that's how I met all you amazing people, because through her introduction. So
that's so cool.
And then lastly, Calvin Wayman, who I got to actually meet this past week. Last Thursday, actually on my birthday, I went to an event here in Phoenix where Calvin was at. So I got to meet him in person. And Joe Polish, who's a local guy that's a marketing guy, I've seen a couple times, got to go. And then the last keynote speaker was Damon John from the Shark Tank, who I got to meet and ask some questions. Wow. So it was really cool.
That's a big name.
Oh, yeah.
It's very cool.
It was awesome. Okay, well, let's start. I want to ask you this question because obviously this is what our show's about, but how important, Allie, do you think mindset is in creating successful online business?
Oh my gosh. So as you know, we've been connected on Facebook. Those are where I'm sure you've got all those names and the connections that we had.
Right.
And then I did a Facebook Live a little while back, and I think this is how we connected, and you reached out to me to be on your show, and I did a whole Facebook Live on mindset is everything. And then I put a little question mark on it. And then I said, I think. And the reason why I did that is because mindset to me is everything. But sometimes I worry that because we go through so much, we lose that idea, if that makes sense. So we're always like, okay, let's just be strong with our mindset. Let's work on our personal growth. Let's keep doing this. And then, rubber hits the road. And sometimes we'll trip or stumble and hit some roadblocks. And then we go, oh, we throw that out the window for some reason. And then, it kind of loses its path. So to me, mindset is everything. And I know that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for, one, the relationships that I've made, and two, the mindset. And now it's not perfect. It's still definitely a development in progress, but it's definitely something that's got me through hard times, and it's made it so that I don't on the flip side, get too high and mighty with myself when things do go really well. And I try to stay humble. And that's a really important factor and feature to have to me. So yeah, mindset definitely is everything for every aspect of my life, both business, personal, and everything else in between.
I love it. And what I like what you said too, Allie, is that everybody thinks of mindset like positive and motivation and passion and all that, and, dealing with negative thoughts. But you also talk about, basically humbling yourself too, not getting too big headed if you're, have some successes and so forth. So I love that you touched on that part of the mindset, because I think it's also important when we think of mindset to really balance ourselves, because it is a balancing act.
Yeah, absolutely. Both ways. If you get too high and your nose is on the ceiling, it's going to get scraped. You know what I mean? So you've got to,
exactly.
yeah,
Someone will knock you down.
Absolutely. And that's my way of being able to connect better with my audience. Now, I'm not saying I'm this huge, name or this big dog in the space, but I do have my moments where you feel really good. And especially in a business, you have your ups and downs, and they're not just normal ups and downs that you'd have in a job, right? They're way up and they're way down. So when they're way up there, it's kind of sometimes hard to be in the clouds and forget about, how to connect with your audience, or how to connect with your potential customers, or how to just connect with people who could really be moving you forward, because you're thinking, too high of yourself. So that's definitely important to me too.
No, you got a good balance going, it sounds like. Now, you're a young woman, Allie, but as I read in the intro, you said that you knew that you wanted to be an entrepreneur really early on. Was that like a sense that you had, or did you get that entrepreneurial spirit from maybe a parent, a family member? How did you kind of know early on?
Yeah, so no one in my family, direct family, is an entrepreneur. So it wasn't anything that I pulled from them. But very early on throughout my whole life, childhood, my dad very much instilled, finances in me and my siblings. Like, we always had, our little box of when we were trying to figure out our income, or the little bit of money that we'd make from our chores or whatever. We're young. It wasn't a lot, but it was still money. We'd always have, separate it into, the tithing that we were donating, any donations or anything like that. And then our savings, we always had 10% savings, and then the rest would go to spending. And then later on, I moved that up to 40% savings, 10% giving, and 50% was to me. And that was hard then. But I knew that if I could figure that out then, I could figure that out later on. And I know that sounds silly to say, oh, finances got me into business, but it was definitely a big part of it, because I figured out that, wow, I can earn money by doing almost anything. And when I say anything, I really mean that. It's crazy how many ways. And a lot of people don't realize this too. Like, I'll be going about my day as an entrepreneur. I hate this almost. It's like when you're an actor and you're watching a movie and all you can do is focus on how they're acting and how they probably got to that process. Right. But when you're a business owner, you just think of all these business ideas left and right. And you go, oh, I could start up a moving company, or, oh, because my friend's moving right now, and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of where I went with the money. Because I remember thinking, oh, you could do this and you could do this. And if I saved up this amount, then I can invest it in this. And it was crazy. And then in high school, I had the opportunity to go to a CTEC, a technological center, and join a business class. And it was amazing, because it wasn't just a class, it was innovative. And it was, we had our own cubicles, and it was very, very, it was run in a very real way. And it was so great. And I loved it. And that really catapulted me into wanting to own my own business right off the bat, right out of high school.
That's so cool. I mean, that's something that I think is missed today. I mean, we should have that in school. If someone wants that entrepreneurial or thinks that they want to do a business instead of just getting a job, it's so, I mean, come on, that is so, look at what you learned at such an early age that you're able to start and create a business and stay home with your son. I mean, it's amazing. And if we could show other young people that, hey, there's an opportunity to do this. It's not a pipe dream. It's not something you're going to just read in Forbes magazine or something. It's something that's legitimate, Mm-hmm. So that's cool that you had that opportunity. Agree. Now, thanks. I love when
and it was,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say it was crazy, because it was another quality my dad always taught me was just to, you can learn whatever you want to learn as long as you're willing to put in that action, And so it didn't stop me from doing that. And so even though I didn't go to college, I get asked that all the time. I didn't go to college, but I feel like I learned a lot more on YouTube than I did, in all my high school career, and even maybe in college a little bit. So, and that was all because I had I was willing to learn it. I was willing to go out and make that happen. And so tying those two together made it really move the ball forward. So sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's great, because it's so funny, because I was going to go into that. And the next question I wanted to ask you is, I saw in one of your interviews how you had taught yourself web design, mm-hmm. and how you said, they were asking, how did you do that, Allie? And you just said, I dove into YouTube and Google.
YouTube and Google. Those were my teachers. And it's crazy because especially now, I mean, that was a few years back, now it's even bigger and it just continues to grow. So if you can't teach yourself something now, it's your fault. If you can't learn something you want to know, it's your fault.
No, I agree totally. Now, were you always that type of person that like just, you had that in you that, okay, I have a challenge in front of me or I need to do something. I need to figure it out and I'm not afraid to start researching and spend time and all that. Is that something you always kind of had or?
Yeah, actually, because this is going to sound so geeky, so I'm a little nervous to like share it. But in high school, like, I feel like we just keep going back to high school. But when I was in school, what I would do with tests is I was really bad at test taking and I had to study so much longer than anyone else did. At least that's how I felt. And so one thing I would do is I would actually go and look up different ways for test taking. And I would look at, and this is so geeky. Please, no one listening to this judge me too badly.
No, hey, authentic. I love it.
Yeah, so I'd go research, I would just Google how to, take better tests or how to like figure, like sometimes there's little tricks you can do. Like a lot of the time teachers would just take like a preview test or like a worksheet that they would give to you and literally like take the answers from that. And I would figure that out, how teachers would do that. And then I would just study that one thing instead of everything else, which I know is kind of cheating in a way, but it worked because I got straight A's. So we're just going to go with it was okay, even though it cheated a little bit. So I was always like that. I try to think outside the box. Now I wasn't perfect. I know I'm trying to like make myself sound pretty awesome right now, but I wasn't perfect. And, yeah, so I just figured that out and I kept moving forward and with that into my business world and into making that happen for myself.
So let's not call it cheating. Let's just say that you learned to hack and reverse engineer test. And that's what you're able to put into your business. That's cool.
Yeah, it's weird the connection you just made with that. But yeah, that definitely did help. And because again, I was terrible at taking tests. I was terrible at it. And I felt like I had to study so much longer than everyone else did. And I was willing to because I loved learning. But when you take, I did take kind of honored classes and harder classes. So you don't have time for that. And not to mention, as you mentioned, I was in debate. I did some acting and then I had a job on the side once I got a little older. So you gotta hack life. And when I say hack life, not find the cheats, but find a way to, as you know, the saying goes, work smarter, not harder.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, that's such a great skill. If you had that early on, that it's definitely going to help you in your entrepreneurial business because as you know, as an entrepreneur, you're going to wear all the hats. There's problems that pop up and you need to solve them. So if you have that mindset of, hey, I can figure this out. I might not know the answer, but there's someone that knows it or Google knows it or YouTube knows it. And I'm not afraid to spend time researching it instead of just curling up in a ball and poor me. I can't get this done, So that's
so
powerful.
True.
I love it. So how do you deal with, and I talk with this of friends and I've asked this on my podcast before, because I love to find out, you probably had this happen. Everybody has. Like you said before, where you're sitting on top of the world, maybe you did a great podcast interview or you wrote a great blog post or you coached somebody and you got them great results and you're like pumped up. You're so excited. You go to bed feeling good. Yeah, it feels amazing, especially when you're helping someone, Mm-hmm. And then you wake up the next morning, okay? And Allie wakes up and Brian wakes up and everybody else does. And it's like, oh, that self-doubt, that negative chatter pops in. And you're like, yes. It's been less than 12 hours. What changed? I went to bed and I was on top of the world, and we all deal with that. So how do you deal with it when self-doubt, negative, do you have a system you do or, what do you do mindset-wise to help you deal with those that pop up in your brain?
Those dang gremlins. Well, the way that I deal with them is I lay in bed all day and just feel bad for myself. Not just actually, what? If I'm being exactly. If I'm being honest though, there are some times where I'll do that. And I know people don't want that answer, but it's true. Sometimes when you hit that low, sometimes you just have to do that. Sometimes you've just got to hang out with your kids or just go do something for the day or do nothing for the day and realize that it's okay. But when it comes to some of the examples that you gave, like for instance, that imposter syndrome, I think you kind of hinted at a little bit. I have that all the time. Like, especially because I'm so young, I worry so much about that. It's probably one of my biggest worries. But one thing that I do when I have that imposter syndrome is I think, no, but there's people asking me these questions. They wouldn't be asking me questions if they didn't think I had the right answer. Not to mention, there's people listening to my podcast over and over again, and it's consistently growing. There's always new people listening to every single new episode. I'm constantly getting new followers on Instagram and any other social platform. And I've got this support team that's there for a reason, and so that wouldn't all be there if I wasn't doing something right, or if I didn't have something going for me, you know what I mean? So that definitely is one thing that I say. And another one that I do is, as far as mindset goes, is I remind myself of everything that I have going. So one, and then two, I remind myself that it's always going to be a climb. I'm never going to be perfect ever, no matter what I do, but I can always keep growing. And if I just keep doing that, and if I keep just doing the personal development and that mindset, that really is the platform, really, really is, which is why I love your show so dang much, because to me, mindset and relationships, those are the foundation for any business, for any life, for every aspect of your life. So that to me is something I pour myself into is personal development and pushing myself forward and understanding that there's always more to learn, always more to learn. And, if I'm not good at something, or if I messed up on something, that's okay, because it was a learning experience. It wasn't a failure. And I'll keep moving forward with it, so the next time it comes up, hopefully I'll be able to handle it a little bit better. And again, that goes with everything. That goes with business. That goes with being a mom, because, I trip and stumble sometimes with that one too. And I just learn. And the next time it comes up, I know how to handle it better, especially those tantrums, man. I'm getting a little better at those tantrums, but they still get me sometimes.
I do not miss those.
Oh, lies. I bet you miss them so much. I heard teenagers still have tantrums, though.
Sometimes I bug them just so they get upset and throw a little tantrum, even though they're 19 and 20.
That's so funny.
No, but that's so true. And like you said, it carries into your life as being a mom, as being, a daughter, as all different areas, connecting with people. So it is so important. And that's one of the things why I was so happy that you agreed to come on here, because I know mindset is important to you. And I was like, Allie's going to be perfect for my audience. They're entrepreneurs. She's doing it on her own. I'm sure, you got some support, like you said, but, you're pretty much a one-woman operation, I'm sure. And, you're out there doing it. Even though you are young, you have value and you are getting people results. So, that's one thing that I've learned. I just turned 51 last Thursday.
No.
But yeah, I'm an old man.
You don't look a day over 30.
Oh, you're so sweet. But the thing is, it's like, I can learn so much from you. I don't like, people that have this attitude, well, I'm older and what's this young person going to teach me? I mean, to me, that's just such a poor mindset to have, because you can learn so much from individuals.
Yes. You can learn so much in general. And I've had this thought too. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I have that problem.
No, go ahead.
I've had this thought where, if you learned every second of every minute of every day for the rest of your life, you wouldn't make a dent in how much there is to learn in the whole world. You know what I mean? Not to mention the future of what other people are going to invent and come up with. So that's crazy to me to think about. So every time I think about that, I think, wow, I'm so inadequate. I need to keep going, And even when I feel like I've learned a lot, or I have a lot to teach or to give, when others are asking me questions or asking me for help, I always know that I can still be better. I can still keep going. And there's so much more to keep learning. And I love that, because it's crazy to me to know that I can have all these tools and I can have all these amazing strategies and techniques and personality traits that I can teach myself, and habits that I can teach myself that are going to just excel myself and my audience members or my customers or clients' businesses forward.
Yeah. And that's how I am. It's kind of funny, because growing up in school, I was kind of like you. I had to study hard. Grades didn't come super easy for me. So I put the work in and I did good. I did grades, but I had to study in it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, this is funny, but I did go to college, and I don't think I finished but one book through all my schooling up until college. I'd always breeze through the pages, every other 10 page or 15, and just kind of highlight and then do my book reports on that. And I didn't really care for reading. And I don't know if it was because, they wanted you to read this and that. And it was really stuff that I wasn't interested in. But now, I got tons of books. My fiance is like, you got to get rid of some of these. You have more books. And I'm like, but that's my passion. I love learning. I love getting stuff and then sharing it with others and helping them make a difference, because it's so true. It's so powerful. And if you're that type of person that loves to learn and you're able to share it, you're really going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, so true. And I love the way that you put that. Sometimes when you're forced to do something, like you're saying with school, or when you were told to read books, or you're told to do something, that's one thing I strongly believe in, is that, you don't have to go with the grain. You don't have to do what other people say, especially if they tell you, I was told I wanted to be a lawyer before all
really?
this happened. So it's crazy the difference that made, right? And I think this goes for a lot of people. And I was told, okay, well, you got to go learn this. You got to do this. And right off the bat, I was like, this ain't gonna work. I was just like, this is not gonna work for me, just because there was too many rules. And I know that sounds cliche and silly, but it's true. Sometimes when you're told you have to learn something, you don't want to learn it. And when you figure out something you're really passionate about, you go learn it, and suddenly you become really good at it. So I totally agree with that. I'm a huge learner too, and I love reading books. I totally did the same thing you did in high school. So it's crazy how that works.
I'm not alone then. All right. I feel better. Now, it seems to me that you're you're always learning, but I think you have a good self-awareness about yourself, which I think is awesome.
Sometimes
No, I think that's so important. What did you do, or how did you get, we keep coming back to it, as you're a young woman. I don't know if you want to share. You're not supposed to ask ages of a lady, I know.
I get asked every single episode. If I'm a guest on it, I get asked every time.
Well, then I'm not going to ask you, because everybody else does, and I want to be different. Unless you want to share, it's up to you.
I don't mind. It's kind of one of those things where I used to be really self-conscious about it. Like it would every time I'd get asked, I would stumble and I'd trip over my words. I get really nervous, and I would try to kind of go around it, trying not to answer it. But I've kind of come to realize that, and this is from help from friends and just me, again, personal development. It's just learning that it doesn't necessarily matter your age. It matters what you do with it. You know what I mean? It matters what you're doing right now. And again, it's kind of cliche, but I've learned to be okay with it. So I'm happy to share. Like I said, I get asked every time. So if I don't have an answer for this question yet, then I don't know where I'm going with this. So I am pretty young. I'm 22. So usually when I tell clients that, I get so nervous. I'm like, please don't fire me. But it's crazy because
don't apologize for it. That's one thing. I read a book. It was really powerful. This guy called Rich Voss. I don't know if you heard of him. He was on Lewis Howes' podcast, and he's been on.
Love School of Greatness.
Oh, awesome! I love listening to that. But he had Rich Voss on there, and he's a former hostage negotiator who teaches business classes in California now. So he took what he learned about human behavior and mental things, and he applies it to business. And one of the things he taught, which is really cool, and this is something that maybe is a mindset that you can use too, is he said, whenever there's a negative, call it out before it comes out. So for example, say you're going to meet with a client, right? And you're sitting across from them, you go, you know what? I know I look young to you. I'm only 22, and you're probably saying, hey, what can I learn from a 22-year-old? What can she really teach me about Instagram? And, how am I going to do this? Mm-hmm. And then you go into, what you can do for it. He says, the problem is most people will say, okay, now listen, I don't want you to think that I'm young, and I don't want you, and they negate what they're trying to do, because they're calling it out, and they're saying, I look young, but don't worry, I don't want you to think that I'm young. Well, the person's sitting back going, yeah, you are young. What are you trying to get at here? But when you call it out and you say, you know what, I'm 22. I know you're probably thinking I'm young. I don't have much to offer, blah, blah, blah. You don't say but. You don't try and change their position. You bring it up in front of them. So now they're sitting there going, yeah, you are young and stuff. And then you start teaching them and telling them things that you know. So you've called out the negative that they're thinking. And they're like, okay, well, this person's authentic and they're real because they're bringing it up. They're not trying to hide their age or be something that they're not. So
absolutely, I love that.
Awesome. Yes. Don't apologize for it. Call it out in front of people, and then just share what you can do for them. And don't say but no, that's who you are and you have something to offer. So
I think what you just said was so on point, because when I would get all nervous and I would do the whole but thing that you just mentioned, and I would kind of backtrack, or I'd set myself up like you were kind of getting at there, then, you'd get a different reaction. But now that I'm a little more confident about it, when I get asked that, I've got clients that sometimes ask me too. It's just one of those things, I look young, so the question comes up. Same with podcasts. Because I'm more confident with it and I'm willing to share it, what I've noticed is when clients ask me what my age is after working with me for a while, and I tell them, it's actually, they're impressed. They go, wow, you've done all this, or all this, and you're that, oh my gosh. And I always get such a great reaction. It's crazy, because in my head, I'd get, in my head, and I'd worry. Everyone has their self-conscious things that get them back and hold them back. But once I was allowed that one, once I let that one go, because I started a business when I was 18. So, it's always been young. So it's been crazy. But once I let that go and I was able to just be confident about it, it's still a work in progress. But now that I am a little more confident about it, like I said, I get a much better reaction. And in fact, people get impressed. And I've even had clients or people that have worked with me go, I want to work with you now more, because I can't even imagine if you learn that much in that short of a time, how much are you going to learn if I keep working with you for like 2-3 more years, So it's, again, not boasting myself up, but I'm just saying, if you're feeling weird about something, or if you are self-conscious about something that's about yourself or a quality that you have and you're worried about it, whether you're working with clients, an audience, you're a podcaster, if you just understand that maybe if you're more authentic about it, or if you turn it into a confident trait, a positive instead of a negative, it might be the thing that'll push you forward. It might be the thing that'll help you stand out. And it might be the thing that'll just make you go so much faster, so much farther, and really help to put that little hook in your business.
Yeah, I agree. Being authentic is so important. It's funny because that seminar that I went to last Thursday, I was meeting these people that I have all these incredible businesses and they're doing some amazing things and all that. And they asked me, well, what do you do? Well, I have a full-time job now. So I'm looking to break in to be a full-time entrepreneur. But I didn't hide back, and I didn't just tell them that I had a podcast and I'm, working with online marketers. I told them I have a day job and then I'm doing, and I didn't get any weird responses or any weird looks. And we had great conversations. I connected with some people. We shared, numbers and emails and stuff. And I was just going to be who I am. I'm not going to try and pretend that I'm a full-time entrepreneur that knows everything. No, I'm working at my business while I'm having a day job and I'm looking to break into it. So I shared it and I said, it was cool, because no one gave me a weird response. Like you're thinking, oh, I better not say that because they're going to think,
they're going to think I don't put it up. If anything, it was good that you shared that, because to me that would go, wow, he doesn't have a lot of time and he's still putting in the time. You know what I mean? To me, that says you've got, the grit, you've got the grind, you're willing to put in more time than you have to. You're willing to go farther than you need to. You're willing to go above the minimum bar that's set for everyone else. So if anything, I think that shows as a positive. So like I said, you can flip it around. So I love that you shared that too.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was funny because I saw an interview with Damon John, and he was talking, someone said something about being an entrepreneur, and he says, you know what? So many people want to quit and just jump into business. He goes, do not quit your day job. He goes, if I didn't have a day job when I was a waiter at Red Lobster, I would have never got FUBU off the ground. His clothing line wouldn't, because he didn't have income to put into advertising or support himself, So
crazy how big it is too.
Some people jump, and do it. That's fine. But it was nice to see him say that you didn't have to do that you could work at a job and then break into it and stuff. So I thought it was a pretty cool message that he shared.
Yeah, that's really cool to see such a big name even still have that too.
So where do your business smarts come from, Allie, at 22? Do you read a lot? Do you have a mentor?
Well, I'm really big on mastermind groups, so that's been really big for me. That really got me started. I mean, I wouldn't have had a podcast if I didn't have a mastermind group member go, you should start a podcast. And I wouldn't have even started it at all. And then also I love accountability partner. I have one accountability partner who I've been with for like years and years, and she's pushed me so much. We've pushed each other and we've been there for each other. That's been amazing. And then of course, YouTube and Google, that's been a big one too. And then, I've got a couple people I consider mentors. They're not actually, an official mentor that I go to, but if I need something, I do go to them, and they've been the support. And I actually had one person who, when I first got started, this story always amazes me when I I say this out loud, like how crazy I was. I can't even fathom doing that again. But how I got started with web design is I actually reached out to someone who I knew was he was just an acquaintance. We weren't even friends. And he was starting a business or wanted to. And I told him, oh, hey, I could build you a website so we could sell your product that you do really well. And I'm trying to build my portfolio. So I do it for really cheap. And he said yes. And 3 days later, I had a website up for him. Again, YouTube. I just YouTubed the crap out of it and then just went through and just figured it out. And then I had sort of a family friend see that I did that. And he was amazed and he said, what do you need to keep doing this? And I told him, well, I don't have a computer. I was actually borrowing someone else's computer to do this too. And I told him I don't have a computer. Yes, I know, looking back on this, the guts I had, I don't even know if I could do it again. And he goes, well, let's go buy you Mac. And it blew my mind. I literally started crying and he went and bought me a MacBook Pro and he's been a mentor for me. So it's crazy when you put yourself out there and you just, that fake it, to make it sort of a saying, I don't totally believe in that. Don't lie out of your butt, but I did push the limits a little bit and I wouldn't have moved forward at all if I hadn't done that. So, that's crazy. I know every time I say that story out loud, I'm like, I don't even think people are going to believe this, but that's how I got started with web design. And then I moved into marketing and now I'm moving into Instagram and that's been really working for me.
That is so cool. And it's a great story. You need to keep sharing that because it just seriously, it shows those principles that one, everybody wants to say no. I don't know how to do it, but you can find out, and too many people tend to say no instead of yes.
Yeah.
And if they would just say yes to more things and then trust in themselves that, hey, there's someone out there, like we said, will have the answer, either YouTube or Google or a mentor or a friend or something, or someone in your mastermind group, but take that opportunity because saying no, you're never going to grow. You're just going to sit back, miss opportunities. You're going to be sitting on the sidelines and then kick yourself later that
absolutely.
I didn't take that. And look at the wonderful things that happen just by you taking that huge yes and putting yourself out there, figuring it out, and then just things start to happen. So I congratulate you on that. That's awesome. I love it. Love it. That's such a great mindset. And I hope you keep that and don't let the fear creep in, or when it does, push it aside and say, hey, I'm better than this and I can figure it out and I have skills. So that's so awesome. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks.
I want to wrap up here shortly. I don't really want to. I wish I could talk to you longer.
I know. It's my fault.
I know time schedules. No. Let me ask you in here, Allie, what was the big lessons that you've learned from doing your podcast?
Oh my
Just goodness. A couple, like 2-3 big lessons that you learned.
One of them is anyone has a voice. Now, I don't know that everyone should share it just because there's, if I'm being honest, but everyone has a voice. And I, someone who didn't think that I should have one, figured out that, if I just learned a little bit more and if I kept on trying and if I learned some speaking skills and hacked that a little bit, then I could be someone who had a voice. And I always like to say, this is so cheesy, but I always like to say to people that I started a podcast to figure out my voice and I continue to podcast to share it. And that's so true. Very cheesy. I'm a very cheesy person, but it's very, very true because I started to learn from other people and I interviewed them. And now I continue to share, to teach other people and to connect with other people and, build my business and get that momentum there. So that's one thing I learned is everyone has a voice. And then secondly is, be you and be you confidently. That's another thing that I've really learned. So you've probably heard through this episode and you kind of pulled it out of me too, is I've got insecurities. Everyone does.
We all do.
Some of them I've been able to learn and develop from and develop on and be able to move forward and figure out that this is an insecurity, but it doesn't have to be. And I podcasting has done so much to do that for me because I've been able to connect with people who normally would not give me the time of day, but because I was a podcaster, they, got on my show or they reached out to me and that felt so good. That was one of those high and mighty moments, but that has definitely done that for me everyone has a voice and probably that be you and be you confidently. That's been something that's really hit home for me too.
Love it. Love it. Now, what would you say would be like the top key things or so that you learned about success or mindset that you learned from your guests that were on your show? What really stood out to you and that you've applied in your business?
So much. One, community is everything. So many people right off the bat when I was interviewing them, they they kept telling me that community was everything, whether that's your audience, the support group you have around you, or the mentors you have. It's community is everything. And that's what's going to excel your business and excel you personally. So definitely community is everything. And another one would probably be just to be willing to push the envelope a little bit. Like when I was telling you my story, it wasn't necessarily that I said yes to an opportunity that was there. It was that I saw an opportunity that wasn't being asked of me, but I still jumped on it. So it's having that mindset of knowing that, and you know, we could go into the whole law of attraction thing, which I don't necessarily believe that if you sit there and go, I want this in my life, the universe or God or whoever you believe in is going to bring it to you. What I believe is, if you think of your goals and you think of what you want and you believe that you can get it by the skills that you have or that you're willing to learn, then you're going to see the opportunities that are in your day anyway, and you're going to be able to jump on them. Because I wouldn't have jumped on that if I wasn't broke and I needed the money and I knew that I could learn something. I wouldn't have told that guy or told that opportunity, yes, I can do this for you, or I will figure it out anyway. So yeah, definitely keep your mind open to not just the opportunities you think you can say yes or no to that are asked of you, but also go out and see that there are opportunities that you can jump on, whether or not they're being asked of you or not.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree with the law of attraction. It is something that works, but you have to work yourself. You can't sit on the couch and just, eat ice cream, watch,
Yep. And then you're
whatever show you're into, and just say, and then go out and check the mailbox. Hey, the checks aren't showing up. What's going on? So it does work, but you've got to work too. So I love how you said that, because that's a key point that a lot of people that watch The Secret, I think they touched on it a little bit. I love it too, but I think they touched on it a little bit, but a lot of people missed it. I think they focused more on just think about it, visualize it, and it's going to happen. And I think they missed because I did see some things in there where people did stuff and took action.
I'm totally saying exactly what I've said over and over again about The Secret. So that's perfect.
Yeah, I love that. Couple final questions here for you. One, Allie, what's your definition of a successful business mindset? Just real brief.
Probably would just be my actual definition of success, which is being happy with where you're at and being willing to work for what you want. So, and that goes for business too, is understanding that, yeah, I might not have a huge audience, but I've got a few who are supporting me. I've got people who are there and I can still grow it. So being happy with where you're at, but willing to go and get what you want. That's kind of my definition of success. And it kind of goes with business success too, because you don't want to push too hard to get too high without realizing that, you got to enjoy the journey. You've got to enjoy what you have right now too, because right now is what's going to build the then. Right now is what's going to build the later, the goal, the end result. So enjoy what you have now, but be willing to work for what you want.
Absolutely. And I was going to ask another question, but I think you kind of tied it up here, and let me ask you it anyways and see if you have anything to add to it. But what would be your final message to the Mindset listeners about building and running a successful and sustainable online business? What would you kind of say to them in a couple words that someone that's out there maybe struggling or wanting to start one, what advice would you give them?
Probably just pulling in something we touched on quite a few times, which is I'm a firm believer, this is almost like my motto, you can have anything you want as long as you're willing to work for it. So if you think that you want a huge company or corporate type business, you can have that if you're willing to work for it. If you want to have a lifestyle business that's just going to be comfortable enough to fit your family and have a decent sized audience, you can have it as long as you're willing to work for it. You can have anything you want. You can learn any skill you want to have as long as you're willing to put in the time and do that personal growth. I'm so big on personal growth. This will sound crazy, but I spend 4 hours every day minimum just learning, just self-development, just working on myself, because I know that's the foundation of being able to have anything that I want to have, because that's going to be able to help me put in the work in order to obtain it. You
are so wise for a young lady. You must be an old soul. I love it.
Oh, I get called that all the time. An old soul. I think
it's a compliment, though.
Yeah, thank you.
No, everybody listening, please listen to what Allie said. Ignore the age. She's got a lot of wisdom. Definitely check out her website. She's someone you need to follow. Check out her podcast. Look at her Facebook. Connect with her on Instagram. You're going to learn so much from her. I've gone through her website a bit. I'm befriended her and started following her on Instagram. I want to see what she's doing because I know I can learn so much to help grow my podcast and my business and stuff from her. So I love it. So I highly recommend you guys go through, apply what Allie has shared here today. She shared so much great stuff. You're going to learn so much. And if you guys apply it, I'd love to hear from you. I'm sure Allie would love to hear too. Put a comment in the comment section below the podcast here. Send me an email, something. Just let me know that you've applied this and what you've learned and how it's really changed your business and your life, because there's so much wisdom here on this. So, Allie, I want to acknowledge you. Thanks so much for coming on. It was so good connecting with you. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy being a single mom and all that stuff and crazy stuff going on. So where can the Mindset family connect with you online? What's the best way?
Well, there's my podcast, that's A Passion in Business. But really what I want to do is I want to give your audience something for free. So I have this free video course that I have, and it's not just, 10 or 15 minutes. This is a video course that's about 3 or 4 hours long. I went crazy with it. And it's totally free. I've actually, some of my mentors and friends, get on me because they're like, why are you charging that? You're making us look bad. But I wanted to give away something that'll help you get forward. And it's called the Instagram Account Fixer Upper. So it's basically what the name is, to help you fix up your Instagram account, talking about hashtags, bio building, all that jazz. And I have a special link for your audience, and it's going to be alliemcadam.com/mindset. And if you go to that, you can get that video course for free. And just as soon as you sign up, you'll get the first one right off the bat. And hopefully I'll be able to help you with Instagram a little bit. And I'm so grateful for being on the show. Thank you so much for me being here. This was so much fun. I can't even tell you. I enjoyed it a lot.
Me too. My pleasure. I'll have to have you back again. Like I said, we could talk so much about this with your business and mindset. So maybe in the near future, we can get you back on again, work our schedules out. But hey, everybody, take Allie up on that. That is such a great, I really appreciate you making that offer to the Mindset family. They're going to appreciate it. And I highly encourage you guys, take advantage of it. I mean, she's talking 3 to 4 hours. You guys know when we invest in courses and stuff, you're talking $97 probably minimum, maybe $200. I'm definitely going to take advantage of it, and I'm going to learn so much. So I highly recommend it. So everybody, take Allie up on that. It's a great offer. We appreciate it. And Allie, thanks again so much. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. You're such a great host. I can't even believe it. If you're listening to the show, you better subscribe and listen to every single new episode that Brian comes out with, because it's freaking amazing.
See, I told you she's wise. Listen to her advice. If you don't, then you're a fool. No,
I love it. It was so good.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And I wish you guys all a brilliant life. Hey, guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really and truly appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this episode and want to learn more about developing a strong, successful mindset, then go ahead and subscribe by clicking the I'm in button below this podcast. Each week, I try to deliver great content that you can learn and apply immediately to help develop a better mindset so you can build a great online business and hopefully a better life. So if you like what we're trying to do here at The Marketer's Mindset, then help us spread the message and give us a rating and review on iTunes so we can help more online marketers. Lastly, I want to hear from you. So if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss or an online marketer that you would like us to interview, then send me an email to brian@themarketersmindset.com. Thanks again. I love you guys. And until next week, take care, and I wish you a brilliant life.